Welcome back to the Koori Knockout podcast. We've got myself, Dean Witters and Trent Rose on today. We are very close to the knockout now. What are we, under a week? We're a week out, so we've got plenty coming up, plenty of excitement happening, plenty of knockouts played over the weekend as well, and we'll talk plenty about that there too. A lot of plenty in it. We've got a bit coming up this week too for the big knockout. Friday night, Friday afternoon, we have the women's and juniors draw taking place. That's going to be streamed on NITV and WAC Facebook pages, so make sure you tune into that. Delegates have all been advised about it, and delegates are invited to come along and witness it live to see who's going to be playing who in the women's and junior tournaments. But, boy, straight into the weekend it's just been.
Pretty exciting, eh? There was all happening. There was football left, right and centre, some exciting games. We saw the return of veterans like you and McGrady. How good was that? And Rick McGrady had the boots on there too. Oh, Rick. And I was trying to do a Facebook post there to try and see if I can get as many likes to get Sunboy Peckham there to throw the boots in there for Timo.
I did see that.
Would have been good to see old son. I reckon he would have barged over for
I don't think I'd like that. I'm still tortured by what Sunboy did to us at Henson back in, what year was that, Trenny?
It was about 05, I reckon.
05. We just could not tackle him. He absolutely destroyed us playing for the ring. So I hope he doesn't make a comeback.
Leg speed, power, geez, he'd still have it. You should see him. I played golf with him a couple of months ago. He could still hit a golf ball. He got the power, old son, so he'd still have the power running. But, yeah, it was good. I went to the Blacktown knockout. Great out there. You know, the Red Belly Blacks, they won that knockout there, but the Yowies had a great young team. Ronnie Griffiths, Brad Ty there. They've been sort of getting that team together all year. Ronnie's just got them well drilled, well coached. And I said to a lot of people out there that he's there and he's looking at his players, he's weighing up what he's got, he's getting ready to see what holes they fill in the big one, but also just to know what style of play he'll play there. I could see him thinking deeply and watching closely, and of course Wack and Abe walking around confident, you know what I mean? Like, so there's plenty happening.
Did they get a few injuries leading into the final?
Yeah, they did.
A bit short.
They got a few injuries. They had a tough little draw. They had to play the Glebe team there, and look, the Glebe boys have got to learn their lessons too around their discipline and organisation and stuff, because they had a lot of talent in that Glebe side. My young fella played in it, and I thought that they would be a team that would have sort of troubled the Yowies, but they got lost in their own sort of things they were trying to do, and I think once they calmed down and played proper footy, it was too late. So they got some stuff to work on. The Red Belly Blacks look good. They're solid, but the Yowies did look the team to beat up there. But they got a few injuries in all the games. Hard little draw, and Jade Hooper was out there too.
Jackie Magpie,
Wiradjuri Young Guns team there, and yeah, and he's not Wiradjuri, so he put in unless he's part of Kayla's mob there. He's his wife now. He's married in.
He doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, he's all wello now. But and they went really good. They had a lot of good young players, and I don't know where all them young blokes will go for the big knockout, but there's a lot of young, exciting talent, that no one knows about.
Absolutely,
or that people are going to learn about, and that's going to be the thing to see is who the young blokes are that step up and make a stance in the big one.
I reckon that's the beauty of all them smaller carnivals as well, leading into the big knockout, is that you do get these young kids, like you said, you don't know about, and you like see something, who's that, and they start getting these little names in the little carnivals, and you're looking for them where they're playing in the big knockouts, and excited for that future.
It can happen quick for them. Look at Latrell Seagwalt. Absolutely. He is, and he's been
Queensland
spoken
Cup
about
Rookie
a lot.
of the Year.
Yeah,
played the Queensland Cup Grand Final too, just on the weekend.
And he got that opportunity off the back of the knockout, playing well in the knockout, getting noticed there, and obviously learning and developing as a player in the WAC team. Like, this is what can happen for you as a young footballer if you're dedicated and want those chances. So the spotlight's on it, because the Daily Telegraph's doing stories on the knockout.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's getting spoken about in mainstream media. I know I did an interview today with the Daily Telegraph about wanting to promote the knockout and stuff like that, and what to expect. And the guy interviewing knew just as much about it as any black fella, So I was like, this is really starting to get big now. And that's one thing that we've all got to realise, that we all we all hold the future of this knockout in our hands out here with our behaviour off the field, the way we carry on the field, how we lead the way for our mob when fights and scuffles break out. Because, I saw some stuff over the weekend, good and bad. I saw a lot of people with calm heads and cool heads, calm situations down, because we're all there to play football. We're all there to represent our mobs and go hard and test each other. Like we love to test each other with physically, verbally, all that sort of stuff. But we're there to play football, and there's some fellas who escalate situations and want to take it on beyond the game, and that's what I hate seeing, because you ruin the reputation of the knockout. That's a big one for all the mob out there. Let's just play football, promote our mobs, promote what we do as footballers and communities, but let's calm these stupid situations down and don't bring your crap from the community out there and say, I'm going to pull him out after the game, or I can't wait to fight him, when all that stuff. Leave that away. Don't come if you're going to do that sort of stuff.
And take advantage of the opportunities on the field, because like Dino said, a lot of people are tuning in, a lot of people are curious about it. So all them young stars out there on the rise that know that they're going to have this opportunity to show off, especially against some of them NRL players that'll be floating around at the knockout too. Take advantage of it, show them up on the field, because plenty of people will be watching.
I was out at Wilcannia with Jolie Thompson.
Oh, yeah.
And he pulled out a training session on his phone. And I know the whack boys here are working him pretty hard. Old Jolie got out in the morning. He was up at 6 o'clock.
That's a private group there.
Went and did his session there. I was peeping over his shoulder there just to see what was going on. And I know Jolie's working hard and he's keen as mustard for this one. And he's putting the hard yards in, but he's out Wilcannia. And they're very excited, the community at Wilcannia. They're getting the Wilcannia Boomerangs to the knockout. I think did they go last year, or it's been a few years since they've been out there, but they're loving the footy and the opportunity for all that mob out there, Wilcannia. But a big shout out to all the brothers out there and sisters, because I said I'd give them a bit of a call out there. They watched the podcast, they loved it, they're all talking about it. So football's back in Wilcannia and excited, so they're going to be at the knockout too. But the Walgett knockout, I want to know about, because I was tempted. I was trying to drive across. I was trying to really work out how far it was, but it was too far to drive, so I couldn't get to the Walgett one on the weekend. But how did it all go?
No, it's not just down the road, but it was a really good turnout. We had some solid teams. The grand final came down to Monkila Bend Walgett versus Barwon United Swans, and Barwon United were up by 12 points early in the final, and Monkila Bend come back to win the game. I think Jeremy Thurston absolutely kicked them back into the game. He was slotting them from the sideline, left, right and centre. So he played really good. Acker got player of the carnival. Yeah. Alex Renane. Burke Warriors back rower.
Yes. So they all playing with Burke. What's the yarns out there? Who are they all playing with?
No, well, there's a few teams. Even that Barwon United team, it was a good little combination. So they had a close game in every game they played in, all the way through to the finals. But they had some solid young fellas and some solid old fellas too. Yum Yum was there. Farron was there. Who else? There was a few. Leighton Rose,
Froggy,
one of the best.
Froggy was there.
Backs. Yeah.
Froggy's been
he
around
was still
some
mixing
time
it up
now,
with
so,
them.
yeah.
Well and truly.
Some dangerous.
But there was some really good teams. We had I think the Monkila boys looked really good too. I think Burke's going to be very dangerous again.
They'll be hungry for it, Burke. They're always fit, them boys. You see them all; they all train very hard. The war team take a few of their players, with Tooley going there. Maybe they've lost a little bit, but I think with no North Coast teams, maybe they might get a few players coming over. They've been able to pull that off in the past. It's going to be really interesting to see where everyone ends up. And I think with Toomala winning that Lismore knockout, I wonder what Toomala will pick up from that North Coast. Because they're sort of with Braden sort of over there and his connections there with Braden McGrady. I reckon they might get a few North Coast boys go over and play with them.
It's funny because when you're going good, everybody wants to be a part of it too.
And they went good.
When you're short a couple of players, it's hard to fill them last couple of spots. But when you're going good, everybody wants to be on it. So I reckon Toomala has moved into a red-hot favourite for this year too, because I thought they looked good. I thought Brado was unreal.
How good's Lyndon McGrady?
Lyndon's a freak.
He's a good, calm ball player.
Unbelievable.
And, it's 20 years since they won the knockout Tigers. So 2004 they won that knockout here at Redfern. And just looking, they got a shirt there that's sort of got all the players from that team, and there's 100 McGrady's on it. But you just look at the names like Brett McGrady, Barry McGrady, Jason McGrady, and that's even before you get to Ewan and Loppy and like so. They're just the gun players there that could come up with something. And there's somewhere they're showing the highlights of it, and you see Jason McGrady scoring tries, and you know you have Barry McGrady in there as well, and just like they were not just fast and elusive, but geez, he was strong running the ball. Jason McGrady, like bumping through tackles, and Richard Mackey and Sunboy Peckham was in that team as well. Like, geez, they had some good players in that team last night.
Just the names alone, eh?
I reckon you're not wrong. 20-year reunion, roll straight back around. I reckon they're a good chance. But it looked like a great knockout up there in Lismore too. They knocked off the Northern Storm in the grand final. So.
Mixture of casino boys there, I think, all in different teams. But, you know, all them little communities up there, Mully, Tabulum, they all come along. They all love playing in it. They get a lot from Kempsey going up there too. I know they had the Kelly Memorial. They had a Julie's Rabbitohs, a lot of boys from Armidale and from Coffs going up there with all the Kelly boys. And so it was good to see all their mobs up there. They had a Bayougal team that go up there. And Bayougal's another one that's building along nicely there. I think a few I've seen young CJ Mundine and Traden Mundine's been organising, but they had some good players in that Bayougal side, and I think they're going to be all right going up there too. Adam McEwen involved in Bayougal as well, I think. So, yeah, a couple of some little smokies coming and popping their heads up here, and we'll see how these all go.
Well, we also had the Illawarra knockout on the weekend too. There was a few teams there. Southwest Sydney Warriors defeated Jambi. That's the South Coast side in the final. So, and then out at Canberra as well, the Canberra knockout. It was one of the original pre-knockouts that's been around for a while. Queanbeyan Canberra beat Narrandera Wiradjuri All-Stars in the final there too. So both of them teams coming to the big one as well. So both would have got a good hit out leading into the big one next week. But the thing that I do love about having these smaller knockouts on leading up to the big one is you think up at Lismore, a lot of them teams are going to find it hard to travel down to Bathurst, so they're going to get their little taste of the knockout up there. A bit like with the Walgett knockout over the years, a lot of teams, when we had the South Coast knockout, a lot of teams knew they weren't going to make it out there. So we had one of our biggest turnouts at the Walgett knockout that year. So everyone still gets a little bit of a fix of knockout footy leading into the big one, whether you can make it to the big one or not. So it was...
You don't want to miss this at Bathurst, though, do you? Like, I've been waiting. It seems like, and I know it's going quick for you fellas because you're organising it, but it seems like I've been waiting for this knockout for ages. I'm that excited because I think, look, there's so many good teams. The football's going to be amazing. From what I'm hearing around the traps with NRL players, there's probably going to be more NRL and NRLW players play in this knockout than we've ever seen before. So that's exciting to see that sort of level of talent. But also that the young blokes out there getting these teams ready and communities are building up and everyone's trying to better their sides. It's going to be wide open out here, and I think it's going to be some exciting football over the weekend. And I know, look, the events, you think last time you run it, your biggest events that you're running at that time were probably just the boxing events starting off out west. But now the experience that you've had of running things and all that, this is going to be a good one. I can't wait.
Well, one rumour that I do have to squash is Alan Jackson will not be performing at the after party. I know that was getting around at one stage. Alan Jackson is not coming to the after party. I'm very sorry, Dino. I know you're looking forward to that too. But
he's mob, you know. He's mob, Alan. You know, the big one, this yarn that I've heard is that Kid Leroy might be playing in one of the sides out there. So it's a yarn that won't go away. It's going around, and I was like, well, he's only going to play with the Boomerang Sports Club, so I'm checking with Brett French, and Brett won't declare that he's not or that he is.
Well, I did have a missed call from Munns just before we come on. Maybe that was the exclusive that he was about to hit us.
So they might see the Kid Leroy out there at the knockout, the Koori knockout. Who knows?
I wouldn't want him taking it in off the tap though.
They'd all come and try and drive him. I hate to say it to you, brother, but if you're playing it, they're all coming after you. But anyway.
Now you also had a chat to someone just before we jumped on here, and you heard a little bit of news about Tweed Connections.
Yeah, no, I love having yarns with Lance all the time, you know. My cousin Lance there, he's a up there running Tweed. I like to stress him out a bit, but he's pretty confident with his little side there. It's up and down whether he's picking up players and stuff like that, though. But I know he doesn't want the favourite tag, but he's got a couple of knockout legends there to jump on board with him. Paulie Davis going in to help coach. Ooh. So that's why if you would have seen Davo's Facebook post, he listed all these other teams but Tweed because he's involved with coaching Tweed and he knows the deflect, meaning we're having a show on the weekend. They got Kieran Vale and Adrian Davis going there as well. I'm hearing Albert Kelly as well. So a couple of big names there that have performed well over the knockout that will give that young Tweed side a bit of experience and a bit of hard edge, I suppose. So they come along nicely with a mixture of Kempsey and Northern Rivers and obviously some Tweed boys. And I know Lance got a few Queensland Cup players there that he can pull in. So they want to be quite achievers. We played them
last year and they were hard enough last year. So if they've grown and got better since then, I dread to think what would happen if we had to draw them. They're a very tough team to beat.
And Davo's keen to get on this podcast. He's an encyclopedia of knockout football, Paulie Davis. You sit with him there and he can talk from the 70s when it first began through the 80s and 90s, the great teams. But even now he rattles off all the good teams and the good players and where they're all playing. He must just live on his phone during knockout time. So does Big J up there and so does Lance and a lot of these other fellas. They just love knockout football and they're the ones that give me all the tips on who's playing where. So if anyone blaming me and looking to argue with me, pick out one of those three because they're the ones it all comes from, all the yarns.
No, well, I'm looking forward to it, actually. I think that they'll have a very good side. I think Toomala's really showed where they're at now. So there's a few teams that we probably haven't talked about a lot leading up to this that are really well and truly in the mix too, that are going to be the team that you don't want to draw come the official draw, which is Thursday night in Bathurst at the Bathurst Memorial Entertainment Centre. And it'll be live on NITV and also I think we're streaming it as well. But either way, it's on NITV. Everybody's invited to come down. All the team delegates are encouraged to come down and watch the draw live. That kicks off our knockout week there. Actually, before that, we've got a community day in Bathurst on the Wednesday. So any kids who are around in the area or anyone who comes down early, make sure you come down to the community day as well because that'll be a good day. Meet a few of the NRL players, NRLW players. Have a good little time down there and it's just going to kick off our knockout week nicely there in Bathurst. So community day on the Wednesday, official draw on the Thursday, stop talking to everyone Thursday night and then turn up to the footy Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
And watch them all jump ship on the Thursday night. When they draw whack or when they draw war or when they draw La Perouse, they'll all jump ship and they know they do it. I've seen a lot of players out there.
I feel like no one jumps ship when they've drawn us. If anything, they get even stronger.
No, I think they run an eyed, George. I think they run an eyed, most of them. They queer it. They don't want to play as first up. But that's where you've been vulnerable, especially when you've run it. When you've had to run it, in them early games. It's hard for any team that runs it.
Yeah.
And I've seen when Redfern run it the second time and went out the second game, first thing the next morning. NAB went out the second game a couple of years ago. It's not easy after you run it. The stress and the fatigue that it drains out of you just leaves you a little bit flat at times. So if you do get wild, don't jump ship, boys. Stay in there because you might catch them on the hop there early on in one of the first two games.
I think if we can get through to the second or third game, I'll be happy with that, knowing that we've done better than what we usually do when we're hosting.
They are underplaying it. Look, they got no one. They're underplaying. They're going to be happy with the second or third game, mate, Trenny. Is that right?
Always the case. I mean, like George said, we don't have that good strike rate and... I'll be happy to get to that second round and third round and
there you go, Walgett are strugglers,
Yeah.
Now I've heard it all. Like the Yowies telling me that they're struggling for players. They're raking up there.
I'll be spewing if I have to go to the after party. If we get knocked out first game and have to go to the after party.
Yeah, it sucks having to go to that, brother. I tell you,
make for a tough night.
We didn't get into the Murray Carnival, eh?
We didn't.
It's also on the weekend.
Yeah, they were at the top of the list up here. So the QMC, the Queensland Murray Carnival, held on the weekend. Trenny?
Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, we obviously were out at Walgett running our little carnival and got to see little glimpses and stuff. And obviously the winners come out, Europe on Dyak, led by the great Benjamin Barber. The Benny Barber effect was in full force over that weekend. And it was good to see the team. You know, they had Brenko Lee and the likes, Jardine Babongi, still running the ring, Jarbongs.
Jarbong, you still got it, Jar.
They were a solid little
Travie
team.
there as well,
Yeah,
Travie
Travie Waddell.
I really want to know from Big Noy what happened because Dizzy was talking it up when he was on here.
I watched that game and
Who'd they play?
Perga, the European side, they played Darkies Connections in the final, but the semi was against Perga with Big Noise and Chook's Perga.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it'd be filthy.
Well, Perga had it in the bag, and it's just sort of like I said, the boys got that roll on and coming over the top at the end of it. I was watching it, and I thought Perga had it in the bag in the semi, and you just see that this, that, blah, blah, and you look at the score and it's changes like that, you know, and it was some really good football to watch over the weekend. It was
Benny Barb's killed him, eh?
Yeah. Got player of the carnival, Benny, so...
He's smiling about that.
Oh, well deserved. It's just...
He's a good player, unbelievable.
Put him in cotton wool now until the big one.
He's just making his name bigger and bigger in these spaces, isn't he? Like, he continues to win everything. He got a touch of gold, but he can just play it all the way to the end. And for an older player now, he's not a kid no more, Benny, but he just seems to get better and better as the weekend goes on, and year after year he's still proving himself. I don't know how he's doing it, but he's done well again, Benny.
You know who else stood out up there? I saw some of the highlights from the women's game. Nakia was sharing a few highlights of her sister.
Brandy, yeah.
Brandy Davis-Welsh absolutely killed him.
She got the dummy and the swerve and the turn of speed. She doesn't look like she's running fast. And usually when she's running, she looks like she's laughing and having a joke with the people who are chasing her because she's just real relaxed and got this track style. But she has got this deceptive turn of pace that just can round people really quickly. And she killed them up there and playing for Mungandai, obviously. Yeah. And that's Mungandai back to back there. I know Terry Kane running Terry and Kelly now. She's running the team. But the little go there between little family there. I was watching that closely then. I was wondering what was going on there. And I had my daughter in there playing for SEQ Magic, so I was watching closely. It was all Apple and Yulara getting fired up. But the girls there got a little bit out of control there. And they all don't want that stuff. They're good family, good people. Both them girls are great girls. You know, Terry Ann and Akira. They'd be disappointed because they should have let their football do the talking on the last day. Like, they brilliant footballers, and that's what Akira was there. She was killing it all weekend. Akira Kelly, and to get sent off in the final and for fighting and that, it got a bit out of control there. So calm heads, cool heads, and learn to walk away and win it on the football field, I say.
Yeah, we've learnt the hard way a few times too. A cool head always gets you over the line. So, well, I suppose while we're talking about the women's comp up there, let's talk a little bit about the women's comp that's coming up down here. So we've got the official draw happening on Friday. 16 women's teams locked in for the women's draw. Who's the standouts?
But I reckon this is the most exciting women's competition that we're going to have.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get out there because you're hearing that War's got, the Jamie Chapmans, the Quincy Dodds, the Shaylee Bents. They're all going there. They've got a lot of talent there. I'm hearing that Wack's got a great side there. Bo Dela Cruz and Trenny Rose, I think, leading the way there coaching. They're not going to admit to nothing. Look at Trenny looking at me that blank.
Oh, we're raking up pretty good.
And they're raking up with Bobby Law and Kimmy Hunt there coming in. Is this what I'm hearing? And they're some great players, and they'll bring some, a few more.
We were lucky enough we had the women's comp out there at the Walgett Knockout as well. So there's another 6 or 8 players that we ended up picking up on the weekend.
Picking the talent. I love it. Talent scouting at the Walgett Knockout. So I'm looking forward to seeing Wack put a good side together and those girls finding what it means in a jersey. I know Bo will have them fired up. Then you got the Redfern girls.
Yeah.
Nakia and Lavina are leading this good bunch of young players at Redfern, and obviously Becca Riley's there, and they've got some, experience, and they know what to do. They know
tell you what, Becca's looking fit.
Yes, she played at Manly all year.
She's dangerous, man. She's one of my favourite players when she's fit. Like, it's dangerous. I'm excited to see how she's going to turn up.
Mahalia's getting a team together from out west there, and we know that she'll be pumped up, and she's had a great season, and see how she can come up with. And then
got Lieta driving that Yowies team.
Yowies are always good, so this is a good match.
The North Coast teams too. There's going to be a really good team coming down from there, from what I'm hearing.
I'm pretty sure Cabo's coming down. Cabo's coming down. So there'll be. I like that the competition spread. There's some even talent across the competition. So
I don't know. You can't pick a favourite. And it's the same with the men's. Like, we can point out all these teams here, but the draw is so important to this. And, I've only seen a few teams over the years defy the draw. But it ended up cost, like Walgett at Nowra, that was defied the draw.
Yeah,
It was the draw ruled you out, and he's nearly pulled it off. And if he's had a full team, he's probably would have won that one there for against NAB down there. So there's only a couple of sides that are capable of defying a draw. And I always feel that's, the Wax, the Yowies at times when they've had them top sides. In out of the last few years, NAB's another one that can pull through and win against some of those top seed sides repeatedly. But it's not something that a lot of the teams can do where they can knock off two of them in a row. We've seen that over the years. So it'll all come down to the draw, because the draw's going to have to be a little bit lenient to some of these sides, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon there's at least... Yeah, we were talking about it on the weekend. There's a lot of sides that can take it out, absolutely take it out. So whoever gets that draw, and we never get a good draw either. But
I can't.
You must be due. You must be due.
We've been saying that for the last few years.
Yeah.
But, do you know what? I don't think we'd know what to do with it. We'd go out there and we'd lose first game in a big upset.
That's
again.
a good point, bro, because I always say too, there's nothing like a hard game first up to just prepare you for the rest of the carnival and to have you playing at that level for the rest. And last year, drawing Sydney All Blacks seemed to just set you on that tone. And obviously down at the South Coast as well, you just held a level the whole way through, from starting with a hard game and going all the way through with it. So sometimes it's the best thing for you, because you can be sluggish and it takes a little while to kick into gear.
Yeah. Now we've got, obviously on Friday, we've also got the juniors draws. This under 17s competition, I feel like over the last few years, there's been some serious talent come through that. The two teams that have always stood out for me over the last few years is Lapa and Bunjalung. The Lapa juniors and the Bunjalung juniors always seem to be amazing talent.
Well, them Bunjalung boys, they're born with footballs in their hands up there, and they get a lot of country boys from all up around that area all going and playing in that side, and they'll be strong. I think Narwan's going to have a strong 17s this year.
What can you tell us about them?
I think Narwan might.
I know Dan's boy, Jalen's coming through, and he's a high representative player, and he's got a lot of his mates playing, and there's a good little talented crew up there in Armadale, and Dennis he's focused on everything in that until he puts the boots on and plays again. So so they'll have a strong little side, but Lapa are always good in the 17s. They always come up with really strong sides, and I know just in our 16s team from last year, there's a lot of Lapa boys in there that will lead the way for Lapa, and then our 16s in New South Wales Indigenous Koori side there's Central Coast is another one. I know Jono's building up there with a couple
Dark
of
and Jung Waters,
and they've got some good little players there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Central Coast teams do really well there too, in some of them age groups there, because he's pulling that whole community together there.
I think that Western Sydney, they always produce a couple of them good little fellas too.
Yeah.
Red Belly Blacks have been strong.
Blacktown, and always, then you got Mount Druitt United. They're
couple
in
of them
there
little
too,
freaks, same sort of thing, I remember that one kid chipped off the right and back off the left or something like that. That was in Nowra, I think, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah, the final at Nowra.
Little things like that, it's crazy. Some of the talent comes through with the young kids,
and they're our future superstars. They're the future stars of it all, and you can see the seriousness now that about them. Like some of the teams, you can see like there's some old legendary knockout players like Ronnie Jones that go there, and they lead these young boys. And Dennis, I know, is doing the same with the Narm boys, are just making sure that they're preparing as professional and as serious as what the men's teams do. So there's a lot of focus on them 17s boys, and it's prestigious to win it. So there's a lot to look forward to. And the girls, the other one too is the girls, and we haven't talked, and Bunjalung there. They've been really impressive the last few years.
Yeah, so we've got the 17s girls, the 15s girls. Both, I think there's 8 teams in both of those competitions, so they'll be well thought out too. And now that there's the pathways and the opportunities too for those age groups for the women's competition, you got Tasha Gale always recruiting. There's a lot of good young Aboriginal talent coming through and playing in a lot of those Tasha Gale sides. It's a great opportunity for these girls that are playing in the 15s and 17s to put on a show as well.
A lot of them young Cabo girls, they've really kicked on, and doing well with their footy, and they're chasing opportunities everywhere. So it's like the knockout is their first opportunity to be noticed on a big stage. And I know, look, with Jess Skinner being announced as the Prime Minister's 13 women's coach, Ronnie Griffiths assistant for the men's team as well,
nice.
for the
Good
men's
on him.
Prime Minister's team. So there'll be some eyes on some of these players at the knockout, and hopefully some bigger opportunities from, because I know they've picked Indigenous players from community football in the women's Prime Minister's team in the past. So maybe there could be a chance for someone to stand out this knockout and get noticed. But look, with NRL clubs coming into the competition, Papua New Guinea coming in, there's opportunities for more footballers to get opportunities. So get out there and take it.
A lot of opportunities in it.
Yeah, I said it a few times there. Good to get it.
What do we... I suppose we might just talk about you got any memories from the last time knockout was in Bathurst?
No, I actually didn't go. So I just got back from England on the day the last knockout was in Bathurst. On the Sunday, I flew back in from England, and I missed the whole Bathurst knockout. But it was very cold out there. I watched it on TV in Sydney on the last day. That's all I got to see was the last day of it. And I missed the Bathurst knockout last time it was out there.
Yeah,
but I heard it was freezing. It was up there with the Armidale knockout.
Armidale style weather.
One of the coldest knockouts there. So hopefully he's put on the good weather out there next week too.
That's the only thing that I'm talking about. Everyone keep putting your good vibes out for good weather, because that's all we want for that weekend. When we were there on the weekend, we did another walk through of the ground, and the weather was perfect. Blue skies, nice little breeze, just enough to keep you cool. It was perfect footy weather.
What is it out there? 4 seasons in one day? Because Armidale can be that a bit too at the sort of October. And it's a little bit cold up there now, but towards the end of the year, it's 4 seasons in one day at Bathurst?
No, well, it's one way or the other. And so you'll either get it real hot, or it could, if it turns, it's cold and it's wet. So we just want good weather. That's all we want, good weather. Last time I remember that the knockout was in Bathurst, I think one of my favourite knockout memories, one of my favourite knockout games that didn't involve WAC was the Ewan Monaro versus Moree Boomerangs game, and I reckon that's one of the greatest games that I've watched that didn't involve one of my teams. And Scotty Laurie, the chip through off the kick off, the turnaround, Aaron Briley, unbelievable, Wiley Manton. That game I think was one of my most memorable knockout games that didn't involve any of us. So it was
the knockout has those what the hell moments. And I watched the grand final in the South Compy a couple of weeks ago, and it reminded me of last year's grand final in the South Comp. And last year RAB come back and scored 2 tries in 3 minutes to win the grand final in this competition. Rovers did the same thing. They come from nowhere, and Kieran Mundine, some of the stuff he did was outstanding. And, you know, he's going to be playing in that Tweed side for the knockout, and going to be one to watch. Everyone's excited about seeing Kieran Mundine. We've been doing that for years.
They already had enough speed as it was last year.
So they're going to be dangerous for them. But I was talking to a couple of fellas after the South Grand Final. I said, I don't know if it was turned the other way and Coogee Wombats were behind by 10, whether they'd come back and find a way to draw it with only 3 minutes to go to score the 2 tries. I said, it's something about blackfella football, the passion, the hunger, the ability to just go, oh, well, let's just throw it around.
It's all on the line.
It's all on the line. And that's actually when the Rovers and Redfern in both those years played their best football was like, well, the game is lost, so let's just throw it around and do anything and come up with something. And they just took risk and they come. Well, I don't know if the Wombats would have had it in them to take risk and try and score. They probably would have just tried to kick their way to, you know what I mean, like grind their way to wins. And that's the beauty of blackfella football, is we've seen lots of moments like that. We talked about the Josh Addo-Carr coming in, stealing the ball on the last play to just get a penalty at 50 metres out. And that's up there with Scotty Laurie, like taking a grubber kick off a bloody kick-off as a front rower.
That's the best.
And then to come up with that football that they played in that last minute, we're seeing, you know, lots of teams come back at the death and win finals, and obviously you boys have played well, got up there in Armidale and finding ways to win and all that sort of stuff. It's just something that the desperation you can't replace. And if I did watch the Murray Carnival, the games, and I reckon that's the ingredient they're missing because they don't play knockout football, is down here we've just got this hunger and this desire to just try and come up with some magic at the end, to be desperate plays, to keep trying and to take risk and to pull something off. And sometimes you got the skill and the ability, it can come your way. And you'll see plenty of that out there in all different levels of the knockout. And there's amazing comebacks we've seen for years, you know what I mean? Like in knockout football, that in games that one team never would have thought they would have won.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to a few more of them too. And I think that was that last Bathurst one. That was sort of the last time that Moree really got close to pushing it too.
They should have been in the semis, and they had a good young team. That was pushing
them through to the grand final, that one there. They looked good.
They got a lot of excitement about them, the Moree side, and they got to ride it out the right way when you get out there, you know, and you got to be able to handle it and cope, because everyone, you're a target, you know what I mean? Like that's what I always try and say to people, like, don't talk too much before the knockout. You want to keep your side under the radar, and that's a Paulie Davis special. And sorry, Dave, we put Tweed up. We spoke a lot about Tweedy, so we've ruined that for you, Dave. You didn't keep that quiet, but just keep quiet, go there and underplay everything you can, because there's enough pressure as it is with the 20 minutes each way and all that sort of stuff. You want to take as much pressure off yourself by not having all that expectation on you.
Well, who's your top 5 teams to watch coming into the knockout? Who's
coming in? And I'll definitely change this when I hear the draw, because it's the draw is everything, and this is the same in the women's and stuff like that. I think WAC definitely a team to watch, and
chuck us straight under the bus.
No. Look, you've been quality, you've proven, right? And you've got young, hungry players. It's they're hungry, and you're there and organised. And I seen Jolie training, and I was like, all right, these fellas have got to think. I think War, from what I'm hearing with their team, going to be hard to beat. They're going to go a long way into it. The La Perouse side will be strong again. They're one of my picks from out there. I think there's going to be big things from Moree. So they're probably the 4 that I'd say for me are standouts at the moment. I won't ever back against Ronnie Griffiths and the Yowies to produce something. I think they might struggle if they come up against any of those 4 teams in their draw. But I think they'd probably be my pick for the 5 without knowing what their draw would be to go a long way. And now, look, there's other sides, and there's a whole list of them that we can name that will do well if the draw favours them and gives them a bit of a roll on. Yeah. But I've got big doubts about a lot of those teams to beat any of those teams there.
Yeah.
Where those teams there are capable of beating good sides after each other.
Well, do you know what's crazy is that I could think that I could pick another 5 that you didn't even name that are all ones that I'd think that are really dangerous ones to watch as well.
We'll be honest, like 10 or 15 years ago, we used to go to the knockout, and we've got to avoid WAC, got to avoid Lapa, like, you know what I mean, and the Yowies. And there's a couple other sides there, but we probably got their measure. Yeah. Now you can go there, and there's nearly 12 or 14 sides there that could beat anyone. Yeah. It's so many, and there's so many great teams, you know, like it's...
Well, Cody Walks is doing magic with that Bungelang,
I reckon.
Team.
And like we said, all them young fellas coming through too. They all filter in.
He's got that Bungelang stuff on lock there. I'm excited to watch what they're capable of this year.
Tumala, like we said.
Tumala,
You give them a draw and let them play their football. And
you spoke about them all podcast and left them out, but Tweed Connection too. It's easy to forget a team, but then at the same time, remember and be like, oh, well, they're there as well, you know. Like there's just so many great teams.
Blacktown Red Belly Warriors made the semis
last year. We discounted them like,
and then you got the strength of the Newcastle sides. NAB still there.
Yeah, I didn't mention NAB. It's Griffith. They'll produce something down there. Griffith, you know, you're going to see something there.
And then you got Burke.
Burke Dindema seemed to always get through to that final 8 sort of.
Geez, there's a lot of good teams, eh?
And I think combined countries are meant to be coming along again this year pretty strong.
They've got a memorial side for TJ. So
TJ's memorial team.
A few Raiders players might be playing with them. There's going to be some good teams. Like, it's hard. Put me on the spot to name.
I know.
Isn't it mad that we're so blessed to be able to talk about the position that the knockout's in now with the quality of teams that we've got, not knowing who's going to get it, you know what I mean? It's literally, it's open to every team that's entering. Like it's It's good.
Yeah,
I love
we
the
still
fact
got
that it's
South Taree too.
Yeah.
Cabo's got two sides coming down. Whenever you got two sides, you know you got one that's.
Yeah.
Waterloo's got two sides going out. Waterloo's always in the mix too.
Yeah.
Waterloo's just been missing that one little draw to go their way. They've always had a tough draw as well.
Yeah, so there's some gun sides there. It's just going to be. I'm not excited. I can't wait for Thursday night to do this draw and see that pressure build. The nerves, there's going to be a lot of nerves in that room because the draw does decide so much of what happens and everything like that. It's you're hoping and praying that it works a little bit in your favour, or you got to face it and deal with it like you've had to do over years. But it's tough, tough old night when you go there. Sometimes I think I've been more nervous for the draw than what I've been for the first game.
Yeah.
Like the first game, you just sort of get on with it. But sitting there waiting for that draw and waiting for your team to be called out when you're hearing good teams and praying it goes your way.
There's been some exciting draws too over the years. Hey, I feel like last year was a big one when we got pulled out with Sydney All Blacks. That was a big draw.
And there's another team, Sydney All Blacks, that, I know most of them boys, and I reckon that they've got a lot to make up for, like they want to go, they want to do well. They went out first game last year, and all sorts of things went wrong after the game. So I reckon they'll be wanting to go there and turn everything around, and do the right thing. And that'll give them a chance to go far in this knockout because there's talent in that side.
Absolutely.
There's talent in that side. They just got to get it all going in the right direction, be disciplined and find the right style of football that relax a little bit, I think is probably the word I'd use. It is. Some of the draws that you've heard over the years, the one when they drew Griffith, Yowies and Walgett after each other out at Dubbo. And here I was I'll admit it, I was at Redford and we got drawn against all these other teams. It was like the first three games were 50-0, and you had to play each other first three, the three teams that were called out there at the end. That was a wow moment over there, but then also like we all look for the big
Wasn't
teams.
that us again too? We did that to ourselves.
You did that to yourself, yeah. Every time you've done it. The last
We'll
Bathurst
chuck ourselves in the pool of death again.
Was it the first game you drew Griffith at Bathurst last time? So so you've drawn some hard sides when you defended the title.
I was watching it because I was we had the NRL grand final, and I had my captain's run that morning because I wanted to come back and play, and our captain's run only just finished. I had to run across home because I lived across the road from the Oval. I ran across home to watch it on TV. I nearly smashed my TV up watching it because I was that filthy because they had the big forwards and that was sort of my job.
Yeah, you'd be missing.
I'm not there, so it's sort of my fault that we
that was a big win by them, eh? But it has been over the years. There's been some exciting first games, and it's also like the little rivalries that exist as well. Like there's. Towns have their rivalries. You got the close neighbours that have their rivalries, and sometimes they can be drawn out as well. And so it's not just the big name teams. Knowing that mob's going up against the other mob in them early ones, it's certainly going to be.
Another team who looked really good out at Walgett was Tin Town Warriors.
I was about to say the same thing.
Tin Town Warriors.
As soon as he started mentioning, I was thinking Tin Town looked rock solid. Yeah.
Well, they'll all be coming after you, eh? Whoever gets whacked, you can see they'll be building up.
I love how you didn't talk about Narwhal at all. Eh?
Yeah. No one's struggling. Did they put a team in? No, did they put a side in?
You mentioned everyone else.
Yeah, but they're rebuilding. They've been rebuilding the Narwhal boys. A lot of good young players, and I know Den's boys are starting to come through, and they'll go all right. They played well last week. A couple of the boys that played there with Jade's team, so we'll see what they produce.
We'll see how we go. Anyway, we'll leave that at that. But we've got the draws coming up on Friday, so make sure you tune into the live women's and juniors draw. All the action happening next week, so we'll make sure that we've got a few coming out for you next week, leading into the big knockout, which is going to be a really good event. And look forward to seeing you all there. But stay tuned for more happening on the Koori Knockout podcast.